Hi guys, this is Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. How are you guys today? I'm really excited to bring you this really fun Z-fold card. A Z-fold card is just that. It looks like a Z when you turn it to the side, and it has a Z here. This is kind of a double Z-fold card. So we're gonna come down like this for Z, and you have that card also for Z. So let's go ahead and get started stamping. I'm using the Peaceful Cabin stamp set, and I am grateful to bring it to you today. This is such a beautiful stamp set, and I hope that you will enjoy watching me make these projects with it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So we have a piece of 8.5 by 5.5 inch cardstock, and so we are going to fold it at the halfway point down the long side, and we're going to use our bone folder. And so that forms your half fold, right? So there's how the card normally opens. Well, for a Z-fold card, what you do is you take your piece that's in the front and you bend it the other direction, and you give it another score mark. So there is your Z. Okay, so that's your first Z. Let's go ahead and attach our designer series paper, which is the Whimsy and Wonder paper, and we are going to attach a piece on this front flap and one on the back panel. So we're going to go ahead and attach this one here. And we're going to put one on this back panel. So let's open it all the way. This is a beautiful paper pack. I really love it. And I really love this Misty Moonlight color with the stamp set. So I am using it for this card. It blended perfectly when I found this beautiful Whimsy and Wonder designer series paper that I could use for the background with these trees all over it. So, okay, so those pieces are attached. Now let's go ahead and stamp the words right here for the front of our card. May you enjoy the peace of this beautiful season. So I'm going to stamp that in the Misty Moonlight. And we're going to go ahead and stamp it just somewhere here in the middle of this piece. And then we're using this punch here, which is the Label Me Lovely punch. So you're going to go ahead and stand that in there, and we are going to go ahead and punch that out just like that. So there is that panel piece. All right, let's stamp our cabin next. We're going to do a little more stamping. We did this. I'm going to set that to the side for right now. We're also going to do the trees, a fox, the cabin. We have quite a bit of stamping to do. I'm going to open the card right here. I'm going to move the punch out of the way though, because we are done with it. All right, so let's start with the cabin. This is going to be stamped on this long piece right here, this cardstock. So we are going to go ahead and, I don't know the exact measurements of this. It's probably 8.5 inches by, let's see, 2 3/4. So 2 3/4 by 8.5. All right, and we're going to go ahead and bring the stamp out, and I'm going to bring the ink pad to it because it's such a large stamp. I want to make sure I get it nicely inked. So I'm bringing the ink pad to it instead of the other way around. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a little room here on the left side, so that we have a little bit of a snowbank on that one side. And I'm going to stamp my cabin pretty close to the top there on this left side of my cardstock. So there it is. All right, we're also going to stamp the trees and a fox. So let me clean off this stamp and we will move on. Sometimes when I have a larger stamp, I like to bring the chamois to it. Again, same reason I bring the stamp pad. It's just bigger and it's a little bit easier when you do that. I'm going to go ahead and clean my words. I didn't do that earlier, but I'm going to go ahead and clean those. I'm going to grab the fox, and I'm going to also grab the trees. So let me get those out. Here's the trees. You can see that all three of them are together. So I'm going to put my little fox first. We're going to stamp him on this little scrap paper that I have here. I'm going to put him kind of near the top here, like that. We can clean him off. I'm going to have him walking, so I'll show you. I'm not going to cut him out yet. We're going to leave him to the side, and let's go ahead and ink up these trees. Again, it's a larger stamp, so I'm bringing the ink pad to it rather than the other way around. All right, so here is my piece of white cardstock. Let's see what size it is. It is 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. And it is big enough for these trees to fit on it. So we're gonna go ahead and stamp those. Just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and clean my stamp. Same way I did before. I'm bringing my chamois to it rather than the other way around. It's just a little bit quicker that way. All right, so now we're gonna do some die cutting. We're gonna die cut out these trees. We're also gonna die cut out my little fox. Well, actually, I'm gonna probably hand cut him out because I want just parts of him to show. And so I want this bottom. I'm gonna show you why now. Let me go ahead and cut him and then we'll do the die cutting. So I'm gonna cut around him like he's on this little bank of snow, and I'm gonna go around his head here. But I want this bottom section because I'm just going to be attaching him down. I want to keep this piece kind of long. So I'm gonna cut it like that, and I'm gonna have a place to attach my adhesive, and then I'm gonna tuck it. See how I'm doing here on the snowbank. So I'm gonna just go ahead and trim a little bit more here and go around this piece. So that's how I'm gonna make him so I can attach him onto my piece. So I'm gonna put him over here with this label because we're done with him. But now we can go ahead and die cut our trees and our cabin. So let's grab the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and we are going to go ahead and start with the trees. Okay. We need platform number 1, and number 2 is the shim. Number 3 is our clear plate. Then we're going to set our trees here. And we're going to grab the outline for the trees, which is this piece here. And this will cut the 3 trees out, just the outline of them. So I'm just going to line it up as best I can. And when I'm happy with it, oh, I might need to put a little bit of adhesive to hold that into place because I don't want it to shift. So let me put a little piece of purple tape. There we go. All right, let's run these guys through, and then we'll do the same thing for the cabin. So I'm going to pull these off here, and you can see it cut all 3 of them out at the same time. I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to pull off my purple tape so I can use it on my cabin, because I'm sure I'm going to need it there as well to hold that piece down. And I'm going to grab my cabin die. Now the cabin die is similar, as it also cuts the outline of the top part, and it gives you kind of a little bit of a snowbank. So we're going to go ahead and put it around the cabin. Move my paper. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and put it around the cabin like this. Make sure we line up our cabin really well. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and put a piece of the tape there, and I'm going to put another one here. All right. And let's go ahead and fit this paper onto my piece. There we go. And let's go ahead and crank this through the machine. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the die off, and then I'm going to be using my paper snips to trim the rest of the piece. And I will show you why in a minute. So let's pull this off. See how it doesn't cut the whole piece out. So let's go ahead and I'm going to move my die cut machine out of the way. And then I'm going to show you how I cut the rest with my paper snips. All right. So I have the outline of my snowbank, and I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting it as best I can. I'm just going to make my own little bank of snow. Let me follow here how I've done on this one. It'll help me eyeball it better. So here the bank goes up, and I do want it to rise, but I want it to fall a little bit on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my scissor around here and have it meet that snowbank there, and then I'm just going to trim following the same kind of piece. I'll trim this side out as well. So you have your cabin attached onto a big snowbank. All right. So now this forms my second part of my Z-fold. So let's bring my card back out. And here it is. So in order for this to work, what I need to do is I need this piece here to fit all the way across to the end of this card. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it at that juncture, okay? So that's that piece. So it's going to get folded back on itself. Now, this piece here needs to be folded. Let me grab my bone folder. It's a little bit easier if you have it scored nicely. This little piece here is going to get folded back on itself like how I showed you with the card. So it's the opposite direction. So how this one has the small fold on this side, this one has the small fold on this side. So they're the opposite small folds. So now that we know where those are going to fall, we can go ahead and attach our trees. So I'm going to go ahead and place my trees where I want them to be. And I don't need the snowbank that's under them, and I'm going to separate them. So these two trees are going to fit on this section of my Z fold. And then the other tree, once I've trimmed off its ends here, and our little fox is going to be on this snowbank here. So let me go ahead and put my adhesive. I'm going to go ahead and use wet adhesive because it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. It dries really strong. So I'm going to put it down here on this white part. And we're going to go ahead and set our trees where we want them on this piece here. So once I'm happy with my placement of my trees and how they're sitting, I'm going to stand them up a little bit more, I think. I'm going to push that into place in the back. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to make room for the fox, so we'll put him first. So we'll put a little bit of adhesive at the bottom. I think I have too much down here of white, so we'll cut some of that off. And the little fox will be here at the top of this snowbank, which is why I hand cut him out. So I had that piece on the bottom for him. And then we're going to go ahead and put our little tree. So let's go ahead and put some wet adhesive on the back of that. And we'll put our tree down here, like so. That looks pretty awesome, right? Very happy with that. All right, well now, the only pieces that are going to get the adhesive on the back is this little panel of white and half of this panel of white. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to figure that part out. Okay, so we're going to start with this panel. We're going to go ahead and put our wet adhesive on the back. And we really want that to bond well, so we're going to put plenty. And we're not going to necessarily put it on our tree piece, just on the bottom. And we're going to stick that down to this large part of the card, but we're going to have it come right to the edge and right to the bottom. And then we're going to hold that into place, just like that. And then that will adhere there. Now this piece we're going to bring in, and it's going to glue to this part of my card, just like this. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to make sure that I have my nice creases. Okay, and I'm going to put adhesive. I see approximately how high I want to go, right to there. So I'm going to hold my finger, and I'm going to put adhesive on this section right here of my card. And I don't want to go past my finger because that's where it fits. So we're going to go ahead and attach this to the front, and that's why I like using the wet glue, because you get that little bit of wiggle room. And then that panel is now stuck. So when we open our card, there is our Z-fold piece. So now we're going to go ahead and attach this piece on. Now we only want to put adhesive on half of it. We're going to do the same thing. So we're going to just make sure that half is covered, because the other half has to stay loose. So we'll go ahead and attach this piece with the card closed and make sure that it sticks really good, just like that. And then there is our Z-fold Christmas or winter, depends on you. And make sure that I get this little piece straight. That's why I love that little wiggle room that this wet glue allows us to have. So there is that Z-fold, double Z-fold card with the Peaceful Cabin stamp set. I hope that you have enjoyed watching me make it. I really appreciate you watching. Thank you so much. I'm kind of new to YouTube, so if you don't mind helping me out, please like and comment. Comments are so important to me. It gives me feedback, lets me know how I'm doing, lets me know other things that you would be interested in having me stamp or show. Share the video and subscribe, and you can share it by clicking the share button, and you can send it in a text message, or you can send it on social media. You can post it to your Facebook, to your Twitter. It's a really fun way to get the video out. And then check out my blog. The link is in the description below, and when you go there, you can get access to PDFs, measurements, more fun projects. I also blog every single day, so there's always lots of inspiration there for you. Thank you again for watching. I greatly appreciate it. It's Kelly with Inky Hands Warm Hearts. Happy stamping!